Gud. The clock on the microwave blinked 2 o'clock like it was mocking me, red digits slicing through the dark kitchen where I'd finally crashed after another 12-hour slog at the bank, sifting through ledgers of other people's greed, other people's quiet collapses under the weight of numbers that didn't add up. My eyes burned from the screen glow, my back knotted like twisted rebow, and all I wanted was to drown in the black nothing of sleep, to forget the endless parade of accounts bleeding dry from bad choices or worse betrayals. The apartment hummed with that late-night drone, fridge rattling like a guilty conscience, distant horns from the boulevard where truckers hauled their loads through this godforsaken sprawl of cracked asphalt and sagging chain-link fences. The neighborhood never shut up, never let you forget it was alive and festering, full of folks scraping by on fumes and false hopes. I figured the shadows outside were just the usual suspects, stray cats yowling over scraps, or the corner crew nursing their grudges under the sodium lamps. I pulled the throw blanket higher, let my lids drop, chasing that elusive drop into oblivion. Then, bam, pounding at the door, frantic, like fists wrapped in desperation, jolting me upright, heart slamming against my ribs like it wanted out. Adrenaline flooded in, sharp and sour, the kind that turns your veins to ice even as your pulse thunders. Who the hell knocks like that at this hour? In this building, with its peeling paint and echoing halls, it could be anything. A junkie chasing ghosts, a neighbor's kid in some dumb scrape, or worse, the kind of trouble that sticks to you like tar. I gripped the edge of the coffee table, feet planted on the cold linoleum, mind already mapping escape routes, weak spots in the doorframe. Who's there? I barked, voice rough from disuse, laced with that edge I honed over years chasing paper trails of fraud, spotting the lies in fine print. Silence, thick as smoke, then a gasp, a sob that clawed its way through the wood. "Mama, please, it's me." Maria. My Maria, the girl I'd scraped and saved for, the one whose laughter used to bounce off these walls like sunlight. I fumbled the chain, yanked the door open, and she tumbled in, crumpled, heaving, a heap of tangled limbs and soaked cheeks, collapsing against me like her bones had turned to water. I caught her, barely, arms wrapping around that fragile frame, feeling the tremors rip through her like aftershocks. "Maria, baby, what?" Words jammed in my throat as the hallway bulb hit her face, yellow and unforgiving, carving shadows under eyes puffy from crying, lips chewed raw, skin pale as milk gone sour. She clutched at my shirt, nails digging in like anchors, and the words spilled out in a broken rush, hot and jagged against my neck. "Carlos, he took it all, Mama. Emptied the account. For her, for that woman has been seeing. Said it was loans, investments, but it was lies, all of it gone. And now the rent, the car, everything's crashing down. And he laughed, Mama, he laughed when I begged him to stop." Her voice cracked like glass underfoot, sobs wrenching free, each one a knife twisting deeper. I held her there in the threshold, the door still ajar, night air slinking in cold and accusatory, and something feral uncoiled in my gut, rage, black and boiling, the kind that doesn't ask permission, that demands blood even if it's just ink on a statement. I dragged her inside, kicked the door shut, eased her onto the sagging couch that smelled of yesterday's takeout and regret. "Breathe, mi amor, just breathe," I murmured, but my hands shook as I flicked on the lamp, its bulb buzzing like a swarm of doubts. Her phone buzzed on the cushion beside her, Carlos's name flashing like a taunt, and I snatched it, screen lighting up with text that blurred in my vision. Asterisk, where's the money now? You think you can hide? Asterisk, I wanted to hurl it against the wall, watch it shatter like his promises, but Maria whimpered, "No, Mama, don't. He'll know, he'll come raging." Raging. The word hung there, heavy as the debt he'd saddled her with, and I saw it then, not bruises you could photograph, but the hollows under her eyes, the way her shoulders curled in like she was bracing for the next blow, invisible but crushing. I forced calm, that banker's mask I wore daily, cool assessments, no cracks, while inside I was screaming, asterisk, how did I miss this? How did I let her marry that snake, that user with his easy grin and empty pockets? Asterisk, I brewed tea, strong and bitter, pressed the mug into her hands, watched her sip like it burned. "Tell me everything," I said, voice low, steady, the investigator in me surfacing, notepad materializing from the junk drawer like a reflex. She did, in fits and starts. How Carlos had sweet-talked her into joint accounts after the wedding. For us, baby. For our future. How the deposits slowed. Excuses piled up like bad checks. How she discovered the transfers to some offshore shadow, funneled to a woman named Sophia, the one he'd met at his dead-end warehouse gig, the one with the flashy nails and whispers of better things. Maria's savings, her teaching salary scraped from classroom chalk and late-night grading, the nest egg I'd helped build from my overtime, gone in a blink, siphoned for Sophia's salon dreams, her least convertible, her endless appetites. He said it was temporary. Maria choked out. But when I confronted him tonight, he shoved the statements at me, said I was too small to understand real money, that I'd thank him later. I ran, Mama. I just ran. Ran to me, at 2 a.m., collapsing like a house of cards, and that image seared into my brain. My girl, 28 and fraying, the one who'd aced college on scholarships I couldn't afford, now penniless, betrayed, staring at me with eyes that begged for a rewind. I pulled her close, rocked her like she was 5 again, scraped me from the playground. But this wound, this was bone deep, a theft of trust, of tomorrow. He doesn't get to do this. I whispered, fierce, the words tasting like ash. Not to you. Not anymore. And in that moment, as her breathing evened into exhausted sleep, I slipped to my bedroom, yanked open the closet, and pulled out my work satchel, the leather one scarred from years of audits and accusations. Inside, laptop, flash drives, the bank's access codes I'd sworn to guard. I wasn't just her mother. I was Elena Ruiz, fraud examiner for the Regional Credit Union, the one who unraveled embezzlements like loose threads, who testified in stuffy courtrooms about trails of digits leading to ruin. And tonight, I was arming for war. Dawn crept in gray and grudging, smearing the blinds with false light, and Maria stirred, murmuring about overdraft fees like night mice. I brewed coffee, black as my mood, and sat her down at the scarred formica table. "We're fixing this," I said, sliding over a legal pad, pen scratching as I jotted timelines, dates of transfers, account numbers she glimpsed. Her hands trembled on the mug, but she nodded, voice small. "What if he fights back? He's got friends at the warehouse, guys who owe him favors." Friends. The word curdled in my mouth. Carlos, with his broad shoulders and bar stories, the charmer who'd won her at a block party barbecue, promising stability in this town of rusting factories and rain-slicked lots. I'd liked him once. Too much, ignored the late nights, the vague deals he chased. Blind. Stupid. Now I'd peel back every layer until he was exposed, raw as flayed skin. First stop, the clinic across town, a squat brick box reeking of antiseptic and despair, where Dr. Morales, gray-haired, no nonsense, the kind who saw through facades, met us in the waiting room, her stethoscope dangling like a noose. Maria perched on the exam table, picking at her cuticles, while Morales checked vitals, noted the pallor, the elevated pulse. "Stress manifest," she murmured, scribbling, "borderline exhaustion, possible panic onset." No fractures, no visible scars, but she ordered blood work anyway, for the cortisol spikes, the toll of terror. "This isn't just money," Morales said later, pulling me aside in the hall, fluorescent buzz drilling into my skull. "It's control. Theft of self. Get her to a counselor, soon." I nodded, throat tight, flashing my work ID like a shield. "Already on it. But the finances. I need documentation." She hesitated, then printed a summary, medical notes linking symptoms to acute relational duress, financial coercion. Evidence. The first brick in the wall I'd built around Maria. Back home, the phone lit up, Carlos, of course, his number a venomous glow. I let it ring, watched the voicemail stack. Asterisk babe. Come home, it's a misunderstanding. Maria's overreacting. Asterisk overreacting. The goal burned, and I hit play on speaker, Maria flinching at his voice, oily and insistent. "Delete them," she begged, but I didn't. I forwarded to my secure drive, time-stamped each plea like a confession. Then the neighbor, Mrs. Ortiz, from 2B, the widow with the sharp tongue and sharper eyes, knocked, her robe belted tight, curlers peeking like accusations. "Heard the commotion last night. Elena." Sounded bad. I cracked the door, let her in on fragments, the drained accounts, the mistress's shadow. Her face hardened, lines deepening like fault lines. "That boy's always been slippery. My security cam caught him lurking in the lot last week, pacing like a caged thing. Want the footage?" "Yes." "Good, yes." We huddled over her tablet, the grainy feed showing Carlos at dusk, phone to ear, gesturing wild. Timestamp 7:42 p.m. The exact hour Maria later confessed he'd raged about her nagging over pennies. By noon, Maria asleep under quilt side patched from her childhood scraps. I was at the credit union, badge clipped to my collar, weaving through cubicles humming with keyboards and quiet judgments. My boss, Harlan, paunchy, pragmatic. The man who'd mentored me through my divorce a decade back, met me in his glass-walled office, blinds half drawn against the relentless sun baking the parking lot. "Elena, this personal?" he asked, peering over bifocals as I slid printouts across his desk, Maria's statements, red flag transfers to a shell entity tied to Sophia's name. He whistled low, tracing the digits. Classic siphon, joint access, forged approvals, funneled offshore. Looks like he looped in a dummy LLC for cover. I leaned in, voice a whip. "I need full audit access. Subpoena the trails, freeze any remnants." Harlan rubbed his chin, eyes flicking to the door. "Policy says conflict, family ties." "Screw policy," I snapped, the rage slipping its leash. "This is fraud. Harlan. My daughter's life in shreds. You gonna stand there or help me bury him?" He paused, then nodded, tapping keys. "Off the record till we confirm. But Elena, watch your back. Guys like him don't fold quiet." The audit unspooled like a nightmare reel. $47,000 vanished over 18 months, Maria's down payment fund, her emergency buffer, bled dry for Sophia's business startup, a nail salon in the strip mall shadows, all glossy facades hiding bounced checks and ballooning credit lines. Forged e-signatures on Maria's behalf, timestamps aligning with Carlos's warehouse shifts. I printed stacks, burned CDS, my fingers smudged black from toner, each page a scream deferred. That evening, Maria woke to my war room, kitchen table buried under folios, laptop glowing with transaction webs. "Mama, what's all this?" she whispered, hovering like a ghost. I pulled her into a chair, spread the maps. "Proof, baby. Every cent he stole, every lie he led. We're not begging anymore, we're building the case." Her eyes widened, tracing the lines. "But the lawyer, we can't afford. We can," I cut in, fierce. "Pro bono from Ramirez. He owes me from that pension scam last year. And this." I tapped the stack. "This is our arsenal." Ramirez's office was a dim borough downtown, walls lined with dog-eared law tomes and faded diplomas, air thick with stale coffee and cigar ghosts. He was wiry, hawk-eyed, the kind who smelled weakness like blood in water. Maria sat rigid beside me, twisting a tissue to shreds, while I unloaded statements, cam footage, medical notes. "Financial elder, spousal abuse," Ramirez murmured, flipping pages. "Coercion, identity theft, maybe racketeering if the mistress is complicit." Solid start. But we need his side to crack. Confrontation might flush it. Confrontation. The word ignited something primal, and I agreed, knuckles whitening on the armrest. Set it up. Neutral ground. Maria's breath hitched. "Mama, he'll twist it, make me sound crazy." I cupped her face, thumbs brushing tears. "Let him try. You're not crazy, you're the one still standing." The meet was at a roadside diner off the highway, grease-scented hole in the wall with vinyl booths cracked like old skin, jukebox crooning forgotten ballads. Carlos slid in opposite, smug in his flannel shirt, stubble shadowing a jaw I'd once thought strong. Sophia wasn't there. Coward, probably primping in pilfered finery, but his eyes darted, calculating. Elena, Maria, this dramatic. Over some bookkeeping glitch. Glitch. I slid the dossier across the formica, pages fanning like a bad hand. Glitch. 4 to 7 grand. Carlos. Her savings. Our future. Yours to blow on your side piece's vanity project. Maria flinched at side piece, but held my gaze, chin lifting a fraction. He scanned, face tightening, then laughed, sharp, hollow. Joint account, joint decisions. She signed off. Ask her. Lies, slick as oil, but Maria's voice cut through, thin but steel-edged. I never signed. You did it while I slept, logged in on my phone. For Sophia. Admit it. He leaned back, arms crossing like barriers. Prove it, teach, or crawl back and play house. Rage surged, hot and blinding. I wanted to lunge, shake the truth from his throat, but Ramirez's warning echoed. Asterisk evidence, not emotion. Asterisk, we're done playing, I hissed instead. Court. Tomorrow. And when the judge sees this. I jabbed the forgeries. You'll choke on your own greed. He stood, chair scraping like nails on bone. You think this town's gonna side with a bitter ex-cop wannabe and her whiny wife? I've got pull, warehouse boys, local lenders. Back off, or Maria pays double. Whiny wife. The dismissal landed like a slap, and Maria's sob escaped. Raw. I rose slow, towering in my quiet fury. Threaten her again, and it's not just money you lose, it's everything. We left him there, stewing in his booth, the bell jangling like a death knell. Backlash hit like a storm front, whispers whipping through the apartment block and beyond, turning neighbors into vipers. Mrs. Ortiz cornered me in the laundry room. Basket balanced on hip, voice low and laced with pity. Heard Carlos talking at the auto shop, says Maria's the spendthrift. Blew it on clothes and trips. Folks are buying it. Elena said you're coaching her for a payout. Payout. As if this was a heist, not a hollowing out. At the market, the produce lady, Rosita, who'd slipped me extra tomatoes for years, averted her eyes, muttering to the line, family stays family. No? Dragging it public like that. I gripped the cart handle till my nails bit palm, rage bubbling. Asterisk how quick they turn. These people I've broken bread with, shared storms and small wins. One silver-tongued thief. And I'm the villain. Asterisk Maria felt it too, came home from subbing classes with red-rimmed eyes, recounting the principal's side-eye, the lounge chatter about messy divorces tanking morale. They think I'm unstable. Mama. Unreliable. Unreliable. The word echoed my own fears. The nights I'd lain awake post-divorce, wondering if I'd failed her by choosing solitude over settling. The threats escalated. Unsigned notes in our mailbox. Asterisk drop it. Or the whole account history goes public. Your girl's secrets too. Asterisk I traced the postmark to Carlos's zip, filed it with Ramirez, who grinned wolfish, his panicking. Good. Means we're close. But close felt like teetering on a ledge, wind howling. Then the envelope under the door one dawn, grainy printout of Maria's old student loans, circled in red, with scroll, asterisk pay up or exposed at asterisk expose what? Her vulnerabilities, the therapy bills from her dad's abandonment, the C sheet hidden from that one semester abroad. I crumpled it, but not before scanning, adding to the file. Sleep fled. I paced the dim living room, floorboards groaning underfoot, mind a whirlwind. Asterisk he wants to strip us bare, layer by layer, till we're nothing but shame. But I won't let him. I can't. Asterisk. The pivot came in a haze of cigarette haze and regret, at a dive bar on the edge of town, neon flickering open like a lie, parking lot pitted with potholes mirroring my resolve. Sophia held caught at the counter, all teased hair and costume jewelry that screamed stolen sparkle, nursing a soda that looked untouched. I'd tailed her shifts at the salon, noted the patterns, the late exits to Carlos's truck. Now, I slid onto the stool beside, voice casual as a blade. Sophia? We need to talk. She stiffened, lacquered nails tapping glass, eyes narrowing under heavy liner. Who the hell? I didn't flinch, slid a slim folder her way. Bank trails, her LLC's red ink, the transfers stamped with Maria's forged name. Elena Ruiz, the mother-in-law you're helping bleed dry. 4 to 7 grand, Sophia. Your startup fund, right? Bought with my daughter's future. She flipped it open, color draining, lips parting on a gasp. Carla said it was clean, joint venture, no questions. Clean. The delusion twisted in me, pity warring with fury. This woman, mid-30s grasping at glamour, just another mark in his con, but complicit, oh so complicit, mocking Maria's calls, flaunting the spoils. Clean. I leaned in, voice a gravel rasp. It's theft. Identity fraud. And when the subpoenas hit, you're not the pretty accessory, you're the co-conspirator, facing counts that could lock you out of every dream he sold you. Her drink sloshed as she shoved the folder back, eyes darting to the door where Carlos's shadow might loom. He promised half the salon, the life, said Maria was dead weight, that she'd never know. Dead weight. For my Maria, who'd sewn her own prom dress, tutored kids for free, built a life from grit. Rage crested, but I reined it, pressed, he lies to everyone. But testify, truth in court, the transfers, the forgeries, and I push for leniency. Walk away with your nails intact, start real. She laughed, brittle, then deflated, shoulders slumping under the weight of her own unraveling. That bastard used me like bait. Outside, thunder grumbled, rain sheeting the windows like tears held back. Her phone buzzed, Carlos, no doubt, and she silenced it, nodding slow. Fine. But protection, cops, relocation, something. I called Harlan on the spot, his voice tinny, got a safe house contact. Make the deal. As we slipped out into the downpour, her heels clicking uncertain on wet pavement, I felt the tide shift, not mercy, but momentum, a crack in his armor wide enough to topple. Trial morning broke brutal. Sky bruised purple over the county courthouse, a hulking concrete beast squatting on faded grass, flags limp in humid air. I roused Maria at 5:30, the apartment still cloaked in shadow, frying eggs that sizzled like accusations. Fuel up? I urged, plating it with toast she'd nibble like penance. She dressed in a simple blouse, hair pulled back severe, hiding the exhaustion etched in her posture. What if they don't believe me, Mama? What if it's all for nothing? Her voice quavered, and I knelt, hands on her knees, eyes locking. They will, because it's true. And truth, it cuts deeper than any lie. Harlan's associate, a burly ex-cop named Tate, escorted us, cruiser idling curbside, wipers slashing rain. The lot crawled with locals, warehouse hands in grease-stained caps, salon gossips with thermoses, all murmuring like a hive riled. Carlos held court on the steps, flanked by a slick attorney, Martinez, city import with a briefcase fat as his ego, gesturing animated, painting us as gold diggers in his narrative. Inside, the courtroom smelled of polished oak and stale sweat, benches groaning under bodies, Mrs. Ortiz in the third row, nodding fierce, Rosita from the market, arms crossed defiant. Judge Harlan, wait, no, Judge Vega, stern in robes, gavel like a hammer, cold order, fan whirring lazy overhead. Ramirez rose, voice a measured storm. Your Honor, this is spousal financial abuse, systematic draining of joint assets via deception, leaving the victim destitute. He projected the webs, timelines branching like veins, transfers pulsing red, Maria's forged clicks timestamped to Carlos's alibis. The room shifted, murmurs rising as the cam clip played. Him in the lot, agitated, phone clenched like a weapon. Maria testified next, voice starting small, cracking on the first deposit date. He said it was for us, a house, kids maybe. But it was her. Sophia's lease, her inventory. I found the receipts in his jacket, hidden like trash. Carlos's lawyer pounced. Circumstantial. The wife had access, perhaps mismanagement on her end. Mismanagement. Maria's hands knotted in her lap, but she lifted her head. Mismanage my own security? The one I built alone. Before him. The gallery stirred, a ripple of doubt cracking his facade. Then Sophia, pale in a drab shift, escorted by Tate, took the stand, voice threading the needle of nerves. Carlos pitched it as partnership, my salon, his connections. He e-signed as her, said she'd agreed in a weak moment. I believed him, took the cash. But when the audits hit, she trailed, eyes flicking to Carlos, who surged half up, face mottling. Liar! She's flipping for a deal. Guards pinned him, Vega's gavel cracking like bone. Control yourself, Mr. Delgado, or join your client in contempt. Sophia pressed on, detailing the drops, cash handoffs in the salon backroom, texts plotting the next pull. He bragged about it, called Maria the mark. The mark. My girl, reduced to a pawn in his grift. I gripped the rail, knuckles bone white, Ramirez shooting me a steady glance. Hold. My turn came last, the stand creaking under me as I swore in, facing Vega's unflinching gaze. The crowds held breath. I'm Elena Ruiz, fraud specialist. But here, I'm a mother watching her child gutted. Not by fists, but by theft that steals dignity, dreams. Carlos Delgado didn't just take money. He took her agency, her peace, layered lies till she doubted her own shadow. I pointed, unyielding, look at the trails. Follow the money. It's not glitch, it's greed. Vega leaned forward, eyes boring. And you, Ms. Ruiz, any bias in your investigation? Bias. The question stung, but I met it head on. Bias? Only the kind that screams when families fleeced. But the numbers? They don't lie. Murmurs swelled. Mrs. Ortiz is not a beacon in the sea of faces, some averted, some softening, the tide of opinion ebbing from his shore. Vega recessed, hours stretching taut as wire, rain drumming the roof like impatient fingers. When he returned, voice rolling grave, evidence compels, fraud established, assets frozen, transfers reversed. Protective order for the petitioner. Case referred to prosecutors for felony counts, identity theft, embezzlement. Mr. Delgado, you're remanded. Carlos buckled, Martinez whispering furious, the gallery erupting in gasps and shuffled feet. I pulled Maria close as we rose, her body sagging against mine, tears hot on my shoulder. It's over, I breathed, but victory tasted bittersweet, laced with the ache of what we'd lost, the innocence, the ease. Outside, rain eased to mist, locals clustering, Rosita pressing a damp hug. Should have known. Elena, sorry. Mrs. Ortiz gripping Maria's arm. Strong one, you, like your mama. Arrest came swift, cops swarming the warehouse at shift's end. Carlos cuffed amid forklifts and stays. Headlines in the local rag screaming warehouse wheelman nabbed in spouse swindle. Sophia vanished to a cousin's in the next county. Whispers of a fresh start. Untainted ledger. His crew scattered, tails between legs, the block's tension uncoiling like a released spring. But home? Home was reconstruction, slow and scarred. Maria bunked with me, nights fractured by her pacing, whispers of what if he appeals? What if the reversal sticks? I'd brew chamomile, sit cross-legged on the rug, unraveling the knots. He appeals, we fight. But you're free now, truly. Therapy with Dr. Herrera unpacked the layers. Betrayal's echo, the shame of silence. And week by week, Maria surfaced, subbing turn full time at the elementary, chalk dust on her sleeves, laughter trickling back like tentative rain. The town thought uneven, apologies in aisles, nods at the bus stop, but scars lingered, mine deepest, the guilt of oversight, the fury at my own navet, trusting a man who'd hollow us for his hollow once. One dusk, Maria burst through the door, cheeks flushed, got the promotion, Mama, head of literacy. And the reversal cleared, funds back, plus penalties. We danced, clumsy in the cramped hall, her joy a balm on old burns. Later, porch chair creaking under us, city lights smudging the horizon. She leaned in. You saved me. But what about you? All this rage, where does it go? Rage. It simmered still, a low coal, but I squeezed her hand, voice raw, into fuel. For the next one, the girl at the teller window today, eyes darting over overdraft slips. I slipped her Ramirez's card, told her, it ends when you say. That night, alone with the hum of the fridge, I rifled the safe, last remnants of the file, a single forged signature staring back like a dare. Carlos's appeal loomed, but so did my testimony, unyielding. I torched it in the sink, blue flame-devouring paper, ash swirling to gray. Not destruction, purge. A defiant curl of smoke rising, I whispered to the empty air, you don't own us anymore. And in that ash-streaked basin, I saw it clear. The real theft was his illusion of power, shattered now. We'd rebuild, jagged edges and all, because silence feeds the thief. But raw reclaims everything. This tale spun from shadows of truth, names blurred to shield the bruised, places vague as the ache they leave. No judgment, hey, just a mirror. How many mothers swallow the drain, daughters tally the voids. If this hits your gut, if you're the one staring at empty ledgers or full of lies, what then? Hide in the quiet, or claw back the count. Spill it, your war, your win. Every echo lights a fuse. Grace to the fighters, may your tallies balance bold. And hey, if this gripped you, smash like, sub up, let's map how far this raw vein runs. 2 more gut trenches cued on screen, tales of thefts reclaimed, silences shattered. Stick around, the truth doesn't whisper, it howls.